This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
The Charlotte Roval has long been a staple for lower-powered road cars here on iRacing, but the old version was narrow and bumpy. The recent remodeling and revival has given racers a beautiful new facility to tackle among the Sims-based content. Will it be a beautiful day once again for Gaspers, or will someone stop his tear of wins? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 6 of the Weekend Warriors, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ryan Walker. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Charlotte is a surprisingly wild ride for drivers. To give you an idea of just how challenging it is, why don't we head down to our track guide. All right, we're in the GSRC SRF, so let's do a lap around Charlotte. Down in a heartburn turn, there's not as much braking as you'd expect, but the big danger here is both the big blue curb on the inside and getting snap oversteer at any point. The wall on the outside is ready to collect you if you overcorrect. From there, you can keep your foot in it all the way around 2, but you'll have to quickly swing it across the track to set up for 3. It's very difficult to find a fast way through this corner because it effectively creates one long arc into 4. You might notice you can take some liberties with those blue lines as they don't indicate the track limits. You're allowed to run it all the way out to the grass. 5 can be taken flat out, but you want to keep the car stable since you'll be braking right away for 6. The combination of the crest and the concrete wall at the apex make this a very blind corner. But it quickly switches back into 7, where once again the flow of the track makes it tough to find the fastest line. This is especially critical because 8 dumps you back onto the oval, which means it's probably more important to focus on setting up the exit than coming into the corner very hot. Now we finally get a moment to relax as you bring the car down to the bottom of the banking and make sure you hit nice clean shifts. But be prepared to thread the needle because up next is the backstretch chicane. This is going to be a little bit of Russian roulette because the bumps and the curbs can create unpredictable behaviors for the car and send you spinning in a flash. Often, this ends with a trip to the wall. But as you can see, the temptation is going to be great to fly through there as fast as you can because of the way you need to carry your speed in a NASCAR 3 and 4. And that brings us to the final chicane, which is one of the few heavy braking zones on this course. Expect a lot of desperate pass attempts here. Don't get greedy on the curbs, straighten it out, and hopefully you've now finished a lap around Charlotte. As you can see, that was the old chicane that they've replaced this past year at the Charlotte Roval. So, Ryan, at least as we look at the layout, it's going to be a little bit of a nicer time through that last half of the course.
Yeah, absolutely. Tonight is the first time this series has visited here, as far as I'm aware. I think it's going to be... I think, we have visited here before, but some details about tonight and the track. 2.28 miles in length, or 3.67 kilometres, has 17 turns. And tonight it will be a 40-minute race as always, with a pit stop included as well.
Watch out for that. Talk about how some of that could come into play with the drafting around here. Before we mention that, we want to mention that the Weekend Warriors is brought to you by Sim Stickers. Whether it's button boxes, steering wheels, or keyboards, they have you covered. And now, if you use the promo code GSRC10 when purchasing, you get 10% off of all orders for the whole season. You can find out more at simstickers.co.uk. Now, looking at the championship, it is a little bit straightforward here. Well, David Gaspers has won all 5 rounds so far. Daniel Sadro, 76 points behind, has had a bad race or two, but has otherwise finished second in 3 out of the rounds so far. And then Emil Orza, you can see in a relatively close fight between both Antonio Reese and Fred Desai. Reese has been quick today in the warm-up. Let's see if he can back it up in the race itself, because in qualifying, he's still yet to crack the top 5. Now, we have a Spec 2 championship. This is essentially an amateurs class that they run here. What are the points there, Ryan?
So at the moment in the Spec 2 Championship, it's still being led by Larry McLeod, who's the last couple of races for him, it's been a bit up and down. So he's had bad luck lately. Second place is PJ Gowdy, who's been having a consistent season. And behind them, falling back one place after missing last week at Barcelona, was Dominic Bureau, but he's back tonight. So hopefully he can get his consistent season back on track. Fourth place is Jay Williams Smith, and rounding out the top 5 is Yuri Cox.
Now, if you've never watched the Weekend Warriors before, well, let's give you a little rundown here so that you can familiarize yourself with the format. We are in round 6, so this is halfway after today. And as was mentioned, they've limited the fuel cells. So if you've raced one of these cars or seen one of these cars race in real life, you might be thinking, well, they don't usually need a pit stop. Here it's because in iRacing, you can actually limit the size of the fuel tank to force a pit stop, which they've done here in this 40-minute race. They've rationed the points so that last place always gets 25 points. The winner will always get 100 points. And then you can see if they have incidents, which includes off-track spins, contact with the walls or other cars, every 10 of those points, they lose 3 points in the championship. They also have a spare car, so if they get damaged, effectively what they can do is come into the pit lane, get a completely brand new car, but they can only do that once. Now, today's race should be fascinating because the draft is everything. And again, we'll talk about that in a second after we mention that we are watching this on the iRacing Esports Network. Please subscribe to the channel when you've got an opportunity. If you do so, you get to see lots of racing action for a variety of series, all different kinds of great stuff, including the Peak Antifreeze series. The NASCAR World Championship is going to be starting pretty soon here. So definitely subscribe. Just click on the big red button and you won't miss a moment. Let's talk about that slipstream. We get a lot of it at a number of tracks in this car, Ryan, but here at Charlotte, oh my goodness, the banking, they get quite a bit of speed in these things.
Yeah, these cars might look slow, but around Charlotte, and especially that they lock the bank in heading onto the back straight, you can still get a good slipstream. As even if you're far behind someone, you can catch back up to them in the back straight, and if you're right behind them, you can maybe try and make a move into that chicane on the back straight, or even the final chicane.
We're looking at speeds of about 115 miles an hour, which if you're used to things such as IndyCar, NASCAR, Formula One, that might not sound like a lot, but you have to remember, these are tiny little cars that are meant for, like this series describes, weekend warriors, drivers who just want to go out and get to have some fun and not necessarily make a career out of this. So that's quite a lot of speed for an open cockpit little machine. So we watch Dobek come around and try and improve on this 7th place. Doesn't go quicker than his 32.6. Gaspers holds the provisional pole currently. Now, the curbs around here are known in NASCAR circles as being pretty nasty. They call them the turtles, Ryan. I don't think they do much better for these spec racers from what I've seen.
Yeah, absolutely not. I think with these cars being so set up really stiff, if you take too much curb around here, it could possibly end your race or spin the car around or unsettle the car. Or if you try and throw these cars over the curbs, especially the anti-cuts in the final chicane, you could be a passenger and you're on a one-way ticket into the wall.
And damage will certainly be severe with the, even though it's got safer barriers around this track, it's just straight to a wall in most cases. We talked about the Spec 2, and if you're curious how to determine who is a Spec 2 driver out there, since they're all in the same car, if you look on their car number, 200 and above determines if they are Spec 2. PJ Gowdy currently holds the pole in that class, but he's all the way down in 18th. That's unusually low for that Spec 2 class. They've been pretty quick lately in most of those drivers fighting that fight, usually sometimes cracking into the top 10, but not today.
Yeah, it seems to be they're having a bit of difficulty getting into the top 10, like they have been able to do in previous rounds this season so far. But I think tonight we could be in for some surprises. Maybe some of the Spec 2 guys will be able to get right up there and get in the mix as the race goes on. I think my person to watch in the Spec 2 class at the moment would be PJ Gowdy. He always seems to be able to get through the field and keep out of trouble.
Yeah, certainly seems to have some good pace over most of them. Yuri Cox is the next one down. He's in 20th, so not too far behind. Got just about 4 minutes left in the qualifying as we watch most everybody try to improve. I see Dorelli, who sits in third, is in the pits, so he can get back out because it's not too long of a lap around here, and he can try and get some more pace in. One of our Spec 2 drivers just moved up as well. Dominique Bureau went to 23rd with his last lap. Believe that puts him third in class among these Spec 2 drivers now.
Indeed, it does. It's good to see Dominic back as well. They unfortunately having to miss last week through illness, I believe, and also didn't have the track, which was unfortunate because he's been one of my favourite drivers to watch this season so far, and he's improved big time. So he's another person to keep an eye on in the Spec 2 classes. Dominic might be able to try and snatch the podium and maybe a top 10 finish as well overall.
Watching Sadro cross the line, and he doesn't go quicker than his 32.5. He doesn't have any draft help right now. Probably going to need that to get much higher up. In fact, David Gaspers, who has that provisional pole, is half a second away from Miroslav Juracek. And Miroslav is no slouch, but I haven't checked to see if his lap was with a slipstream to help give him a tow or not. There's Ian Haycox as well. Stays, looks like he came up a little bit as he improved to a 33.255 on that last lap. So that's 22nd for him.
Is just looking throughout the field as well to see if there's any other movers as well. Yeah, I'm very surprised again, like last week, to see Jerry McAreevy down there in P14. He's normally right up there in the top 10, but you never know. He could be able to just keep out of trouble during the race and slowly get through the field. But also, some of these guys have taken part in the Daytona 24 this weekend. A bunch of the guys from the Weekend Warriors, and they managed to finish the race and finish in P7, I believe. So that's a good effort from those guys.
That's a fantastic effort. That's not easy to do. Keep watching David Gaspers. And you know what? Gaspers isn't putting laps in. He's putting practice on the pit entry here. So that tells you how clever a driver he is.
I was just about to mention the same thing as well. And yeah, it always seems to be the case with David. He doesn't seem to be seem to be able to put a lap in qualifying, or just doesn't do many laps. But as proven so far from David, he's been able to just pull away from the guys behind him and just go on to win the race. And if I'm correct, he's won every race so far this season.
He has. He won every race that he showed up to last season. And then his streak has been going on since the middle of 2019 season 3. Now, I really need to get that stat in front of me to figure out exactly when was his last time showing up and not winning, as we watch Juracek find his way into the outside wall of Heartburn Turn there. Antonio Reese, who is bumped down to 6th, and as I mentioned, was at the top of the timing sheets in warm-up, certainly has some work to do. He'll get one more try at a lap as he crosses the line. Looks like that was a non-lap, as he must have had an off track somewhere to discount it.
Also, I just noticed that Stevie Ray's on the session as well. I wanted to give a shout out to Stevie Ray, who was at an S. I can't remember how you say it. It's the SSC. That's the one. He was at a convention and talking about esports and also Spec Racer Ford as well, and esports in general, which is a good thing. And it's good to see the sim racing side of things as well on iRacing getting more and more publicity.
Absolutely. And Steve Elson just moved his way up to 5th recently. He actually went quicker than Daniel Sadro. So Elson with a 32.455 is, he just abandoned his current lap. So he's done for the qualifying with only 30 seconds left. Everybody who's crossing the line now can only start one more go at this thing.
Also, Hugh Haycox moved up to P4 as well. So a massive improvement from Hugh Haycox to jump from the midfield into P4. So a great effort from him as well.
That was Ian Haycox that we were watching on screen as well, not to be confused with Hugh. Ian, of course, is the father of Hugh Haycox. So, yes, indeed, they are related, if you were wondering, as the checkered flag comes out and Yuri Cox not able to go quicker on that lap, it seems. I see Dominic Bureau coming up to the line. Let's see what the 208 can do. Can he go any quicker? No, he cannot, so he stays put. Ian Wilson improves to a 34.2. But he only jumps up one spot up into 33rd with that effort. See Brad Speidel coming around as we watch Michael Shaw. Speidel crosses the line but doesn't get a lap in. Shaw is going to abandon his lap. I see Samuel Dick coming in, so he's not happy with how his lap is going. PJ Gowdy, still our pole sitter here in Spec 2. He's going to try and get a little bit higher up, weaves it through the final chicane. The 777 does go quicker. It's a 33.1, and he comes back up to 18th, just one position gain there.
Good improvement from PJ Gowdy, and I think that's qualifying in the books, and PJ Gowdy will start in pole position as it stands at the moment in the Spec 2 class.
Yep, that's the last of our cars because, as you can see, Durelli is going to abandon his lap. We know that Cox has already come across the line. Let's go through that starting order. It's going to be David Gaspers, who starts on the pole yet again, and Miroslav Juracek will be next to him in second place. Sergio Durelli stayed third, where we saw him for pretty much the entire qualifying. Hugh Haycox up to fourth, recently graduated from Spec 2, and you can see how that is well-deserved. Steve Elson will be starting in P5, and you've got Daniel Sadro all the way down in 6. His qualifying seems to be one of his weaknesses. Would love to see him try and improve on that and try and challenge Gaspers for poles. Antonio Reese will be starting in 7th. Then you've got Chris Murakami in P8. Row 5 has Emil Orza to the inside, had no practice laps, came out and put it within the top 10 here in qualifying. And Michael Doback rounds out that top 10.
Starting in 11th place is Kurt Nunes. Alongside him in 12th will be Tim Van Dormelen. 13th is Ed Doherty, Samuel Dick in 14th. 15th is Fred Desai, Michael Shaw behind him in 16th. Terry McAreevy, after a disappointing qualifying, will start in 17th. PJ Gowdy in 18th, and starting in the Spec 2 pole position, Jason Perry starts in 19th, and rounding out the top 20 is Yuri Cox.
Nick Carty wound up 21st with Ian Haycox in 22nd. Dominic Bureau, P23 for him. Stevie Ray, expect him to be an early pitter here to start 24th. Jean Pereira in 25th with Kellen Rhodes starting 26th position. Brad Speidel, who races both oval and road and quite well in both disciplines. Brad will be starting 27th today. Tom Gradwell, P28 for him, and then Paolo Bream in 29th. Jay Williams Smith starts 30th today.
And rounding out the grid is Paul Jackson in 31st. 32nd is Pascal Montmorency. 33rd is Ian Wilson. Jim McGill in 34th. Jeff Jacobson in 35th. Jeff Canton 36th. 37th is Jaleo Forcalan. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And rounding out the grid in 38th is Mats Josblom.
So it's going to be a pretty full field here today. That's a lot of cars to stack around this track. You can see them all lined up, waiting behind the pace car, getting ready to go, which I believe should be taking off any moment now because I see everybody out on the grid currently. We're going to do this beautiful new format for the start here that iRacing's been implementing on a lot of the ovals, where they kind of line them up diagonally amongst each other. Gives a nice little view of the drivers as they get going. Some of them just abandoning to cut the chicane there at the start, it seems. Hopefully they can get back in order pretty easily. Just a reminder that our sponsor for this series is Sim Stickers. Make sure and check them out. Big thank you to them for sponsoring for multiple seasons in a row. To be honest, at this point, they can be found at simstickers.co.uk, and they've got that special promo code GSRC10 to give you 10% off on all of your orders for the season. Alrighty, as they head under the bridge through the infield portion, One thing I love about this, you don't usually see this on Roval courses here, Ryan. There's quite a bit of elevation change on this circuit.
Quite a lot of it, especially in this middle sector they're coming up to now, is a lot of elevation and cambered corners, and this section they're coming up to here, the right and then the right and then left up the bank and up onto the back straight on as well. It's I've always liked this section of the track. It's one of those technical sections that you have to get right, and it's one of those sections that if you get it right, you can nail the lap. But if you make a mistake, it can cost you big time.
Now they're on to the oval. And the drivers, I believe, are expected to race on the banking. They are not allowed to race down there on the apron, from what I was hearing pre-race as they were discussing the rules and expectations of the drivers. And so there's fair play, even though that is not enforced by iRacing. They're expected to obey the rules of this league specifically. And now they come up to this new chicane. That old chicane was just a nightmare in cars like these, Ryan. It was just almost flat out through it.
I have to say I've never been a fan of the old layout or the old Charlotte, but this new one I'm absolutely a fan of, and especially the chicane that they're just coming through now on the rolling lap. It's one of my favourite parts of the track, and it's if you get it right, it just feels so rewarding.
Everybody weaving their way through there. And then they added this new chicane as well when they rebuilt this oval just a couple years ago. This was not there before, and it adds another passing opportunity as they come up to finish the lap. Meanwhile, the pace car is going to head on in. That's going to give control to David Gaspers, and they're going to have to weave their way through this chicane just as they start the race. So this could be messy. Hopefully, everybody can get through there clean. Green flag is out. Gaspers is off, and already they almost had contact for second place. Juracek and Hugh Haycock's very close to one another through there. Behind them, I'm not seeing anything yet. Heartburn turn, what's that going to hold for our drivers? Hopefully getting nobody plowing their way into the barriers. So far, so good. This is a nice, tame start.
So far, it's been nice and clean. Just looking throughout the field as well, everyone managed to make it through turn one in one piece. Just looking throughout the field as well, and back up at the front, and Hugh Haycock has made a great start and up into P3.
Gaspers leads the way. Juracek second. Haycock's third. Durelli running fourth. And you finally get a little bit of a gap for the first time in the top group. That goes back to Steve Elson in P5. Now we're onto the banking for the first time in anger. And we'll really see the effects of this draft.
Absolutely. I thought Mirasek was trying to use the apron there, but it's luckily he's still got two wheels on the track. But as you come up to this chicane, it'll be interesting to see if anyone makes a mistake or gets it wrong. Gasper gets through it. Gasper's so close to the wall there.
Yeah, he's using every inch of the track he can. I'm watching the rest of the field to see if anybody has any issues. And actually, once again, it's still pretty polite through the field. I think everybody knows they got a long race ahead, so I'm not seeing any anxious moves. Meanwhile, the leader's back to the final chicane for the first time. And Gasper's still your leader, ahead of Juracek, Haycox, and Durelli. Despite the draft, Elson was not able to reel in those top four.
As these top four at the front are starting to slowly pull away from the rest of the pack behind. And the top four at the moment is still Gasper's, Juracek. Yuri's had a problem.
Doherty, it was the number 94. He was side by side, three wide actually coming into Heartburn turn. If we want to get a replay of this. And it looks like he was hitting the side by Kurt Nunez, if I'm seeing correctly.
Yep, they come up to, I think they're going three wide into turn one, and it looks like Doherty got tagged around.
And don't need a replay of it, but Kellen Rhodes also had an issue all on his own, hitting the wall up into turn 6, it looked like. And I think everybody managed to avoid him, thankfully. But that sends him well down the order with a lot of damage. Ooh, let's
So,
head back to second place because it looks like Hugh Haycox has got a good run on Juracek.
yeah, I'm just looking at the side of the left side of Urisek's car as well. There's a that's a bit naughty, Miroslav going on the apron there. But yeah, looks like Hugh's got a run on him, and behind these guys as well, it's Sergio Girelli.
Manages to make it through cleanly, but here comes Juracek back to the inside into Heartburn turn and wants to try and get this one back. And it looks like he's got it. I'm noticing that damage too. That's pretty significant, but I wonder if that's maybe due to like hitting a curb hard or something.
Quite possibly might. What was it? I thought Hugh was going for a move up the inside there, but maybe Miroslav just clipped the curb and he's maybe running the right height too low, or just clipped the side of an anti-cut. But I don't know if that'll affect the handling or not, or the straight line speed. But it doesn't seem to be. Oh, is someone spun it in the background?
That's Girelli. That was our third place driver. He's off the course, and I think he got the barriers, but he gets it going. Rear of the car not looking good.
As we've got a replay on the screen right now, and it looks like Girelli might have just he lost it under braking into the right hander.
Yeah, big damage on the back of the car, so he's going to be weak in a straight line most likely. And you can see already he's got Sam Dick in that yellow machine getting very close behind him, but Sam decides not to try and press it down into the backstretch chicane.
As we come up to the final chicane, it's still Miroslav in third, Stephen Elson up in fourth now. Daniel Sadro's had a decent start, but he's not making the progress that he would like to make. So Daniel Sadro he needs to, if he wants to try and catch Gaspers or possibly catch him, I should say, he needs to start making moves.
Also worth noting that Gaspers at 3 seconds ahead has probably broken the draft at this point. So everyone behind him has got to start working together to run him down or something. Juracek, Haycox, Hugh Haycox, I should say, Elson and Sadro, along with Antonio Reese, make up the group from second to sixth. There you see him on screen.
As further back in the pack as well, Michael Dobek is currently on a battle of Emil Orzer and Chris Marikami in front of him for what looks like P7. So, yeah, Michael Dobek, this is probably the best I've seen him go this season so far, and he's having a good race at the moment.
Yeah, but he's going to give a nice little slipstream to Dobek behind in the 42 as you see them coming around the banking. He's starting to gain. I don't know if he'll try and make a go at it. Yep, he's just going to stay behind as they now hit the binders down into the corner. Puff of smoke from Murakami ahead as he locks him up into there. I
think Dobek had the run, but he decided not to go for it. It was a bit risky to throw it up the inside, and at this stage of the race, that would be a silly thing to do. But he's got the slipstream on Orza in front of him as they head down to the final chicane. But this could be a chance for Dobek to sit behind in the slipstream and maybe try and save some fuel.
Yeah, how effective do you feel that's going to be out here today? Do you think that's worthy enough if you're up at the front to just kind of relax and not really try and make any passes?
I think it depends where you are. If you're Gaspers, for example, up at the front, it's best to go as long as possible. You know that most of the guys up at the front like to try and go as long as possible. I know I used to do it when I raced in this league, but it depends.
Big accident in the background. That was Sergio Dorelli actually trying to get past Jason Perry. Let's see if we can pull up the replay. We had a slow-moving PJ Gowdy, and Jason Perry was trying to thread the needle, and there was Dorelli right inside of him. He hits the curb and goes for an absolute tumble.
Yeah, that was sorry, Joe.
That's okay. I was just going to add that poor Ian Haycox also got caught up in it, it seems. It will be the green machine that you see that gets spun out.
Yeah, it just all kicked off. Oh, that was a big rollover on the replay. It looks like Girelli, yeah.
Dorelli.
That was. Oh, hey.
Watching his perspective here. Yeah, everybody was checking up in front of him. There was little Ian could do. Thankfully, everybody behind eventually picked a way that was clear. So some big damage from some drivers. Dorelli immediately had to take a tow into the pits, and he will certainly have to take his spare car if he wants to get back out here.
As this battle for P2 still going on with Jurasek, Haycox, Elson, and Sadro, and yeah, this pack is falling back from David Gasper's big time. So, is Haycox is sideways behind Jurasek.
Oh, can he catch it? He's trying to. It looks like he's got a hold of it, but that dropped him well back, and in fact, he's going to hit a bump there on the inside of turn 7. So Elson gets by, and Juracek gets himself a gap.
Yeah, it's a neat. I'm not sure what Miroslav's doing. Apart when it was said in the rules that you're not allowed to use the apron, but it seems that Miroslav's ignoring that. But
well,
yeah,
no, as long as you are 2 wheels above the line, that's all that matters. So he can get 2 wheels onto the apron. It's just as long as they are not fully on the apron is the thing.
I got you. My bad. But that was a good save from Haycox. It's an easy thing to do in that section of the track with the elevation of the corner and the camber of the corner, and that was a good save by Hugh.
He's sticking with it. I'm not sure that they're going to be able to regain on Miroslav. Oh, and a bad exit out of the final chicane there from Hugh Haycox means Daniel Sadro manages to slip through into 4th. Right on board with Daniel. He's now got to try and catch up to Steve Elson. What a climb for Steve, going from 5th now to 3rd. And is trying his best to break away. It's about 0.7 of a second back to Sadro. We'll find out if that's enough once they hit the banking.
Yeah, Stephen Elson's one of those drivers that I've always liked watching. He's always there and thereabouts. He's always up there on the podium when he's there, and he's probably one of the quick drivers in the SRF. And from the times I've raced in the official series or SRF in general, I've always enjoyed racing him.
He's managed to hold station at about those 0.7, make that 0.6, so they've gained just a hair here on this part of the oval. Watching from the back of Elson. They really do get close to that exit wall, don't they?
Absolutely. The official race I done during the week, I got really, really close to it at times, just trying to gain as much time as possible and try and stick with people in front of me. But as I found out in practice during the week, if you get the exit ever so wrong, you can clip that wall and it can possibly just give you big damage to the front or the rear of the car.
So no change for position there, though they did catch up to Elson. Murakami got ahead of Dobek last time around on the oval portion. That moves him up to P8 now. Looking through... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say I'm looking throughout the field to see if anything's happening.
Yeah, there's a few close battles, but I feel like the draft is a big part of that. Not to take the drama away from it, but of course it's a little bit easier to try and make those overtakes here with that slipstream helping you. So continue to watch Murakami try to chase Orza. Looks like, wow, we had a pass in the infield. Well, that is definitely worth seeing because it's not as common. Nunez is the one that kicks it off, and I think he clips the wall here.
As I just watching the replay as well, just to see what happened. It looked like, it looked like Nunez. Nunez might have clipped the wall, possibly, as you mentioned, Joe.
Yeah, that's slowed him up through the grass. So Samuel Dick quickly takes advantage of it and gets himself ahead for P13. Oof, we have Wright Mesa cars back around 20th or so. Ian Haycox is in there. Paolo Bream is at the front of it. I think Haycox is going to take it. Why were so many of them so slow, though, on the banking? That was interesting.
Sorry to interrupt, Joe, but it looks like Dominic Bureau has possibly had issues. He's got front end damage.
And that was related to what I just was talking about because Bureau ran into the spinning Doherty coming onto the banking. In fact, Bureau he absolutely straight lines it into the wall after he hits the other car. Here's the replay. The Canadian, unfortunately, has such a hard impact, he had to take a tow.
Yep, just watching the replay right now from above, and it looks like as they head onto the bank in, it looks like Doherty spun in front of him, and yeah, Bureau was just an innocent bystander in that and had nowhere to go.
Oh, and I think we've had a scheduled stop because Elson has been in and out. So we're watching Bureau get... oh, I thought Bureau had to take it tow. Looks like he actually drove it. That's kind of amazing. Elson back out in 16th with a pit stop of about 10 seconds or so. Seems pretty normal here for this series. And, well, as usual, I guess he's joined by Stevie Ray, who's also taking a timed stop, a regular stop, rather.
Absolutely, as they just looking to see what the pit stop time was, and it looks like the pit stop time for Ray was about 10.9 seconds.
A bunch of our early pitters are giving it a go now because I see Tim Van Dormelen also pitting in the number 20. He abandoned the group that he was with. Oh,
Yep.
and there's some damage on his car. So I wonder if these are all the drivers that have that damage and are trying to get a clean car.
Quite possibly, as I'm just watching the pit stop time for Tim, just to see how long it will be, and it looks like it'll be about 10, 11, 12, 12.5 seconds.
A slightly slow stop for him. Oh, and Hugh Haycox with an issue. Looks like turn 6 again. Let's look at the replay. I think he gets the curb here on the inside. Let's watch. Oh, yeah. He climbed that turtle.
Yeah, it looks like he just took too much care but unsettled the car, and he was just a passenger and nothing he could do. But I think he might have just kept out the wall, so he's managed to keep it going with no damage.
Well, unfortunately for Hugh, it was, in fact, turtles all the way down the order at least. He did return in 8th position. And we've got close to half this race left to go. So as we jump up to 6th place, oh, and Orza's pitting. So that battle has actually gone away, but gives us some intrigue here. So number 96 takes a scheduled stop.
Yep, scheduled stop for Orza. They're looking to see what it'll be.
While you're watching that on screen, we can see Murakami and Dobek, who have inherited 4th place, are still very, very close together. Orza still taking his fuel, it looks like, and he's gone. Ooh, very slow.
Yeah, very slow. That was round about 13 seconds, so might have took a little bit much more fuel than expected.
Well, might be playing it safe because, again, fuel consumption can be a bit of a variable here with the draft. Whoa, and who is that spinning in front of him? The number 17. That's Bream. Ooh, and more cars having trouble trying to avoid as they come back on course. It's a chain reaction. That was Brad Speidel, as well as Matt Solbloom. I think Speidel came into this one a little late. Yeah, he's going to see the cars stopped ahead as we watch on board the Pennsylvania driver. Usually he drives the K&N car over the bootleg series. Wow, it's a good thing he missed that because he spun perpendicular straight through that incident.
Yeah, I was good heads up driving from Brad. He managed to, yeah, I think he might have spun an avoidance, but I've noticed that. Yeah, say Murakami's in.
Chris Murakami coming down from the top of the field. Ooh, a lot of damage on the front of the car. He obviously takes his spare. This promotes Steve Elson to the highest pitter now as he cycles up to 8th. Dobek appears to be in and out with a 10-second stop. Nice quick one for the 42. Hugh Haycock's returns, so does Jerry McAreevy. Boy, a lot of different pit strategies going on. Usually we tend to get extremes, Ryan, where it's either very early or very late.
I'm quite surprised, but it's good to see a different mixture of pit strategies. It's all been mixed up, and as usual, David Gaspers was choosing to go as long as possible and empty the tank, but people in the midfield or mid-pack are preferring to try and pit early before the 20-minute mark, before the 20-minute remaining mark. Sorry.
Oh, we had a problem with Ian Wilson, the number 258 car. Another incident coming onto the banking, and I think he actually got the wall on his way into this incident. Yeah, you're going to watch as he comes out of turn 7 here. Watch the right side. Oh. That was enough to upset it.
Yeah, it's an easy thing to do in that corner. I done it myself during the week in practice, and if you get ever so slightly unstable over that bump, it can just throw you into the wall, as we just seen right now.
Fred Desai takes a scheduled stop and looks like he's finished with his service. Very, very slow stop at 14.5 seconds. Boy, a lot of difference out here as well for pit stop times. Meanwhile, we've jumped up to Nunez. He is ahead of PJ Gowdy, who is our leader in the Spec 2 still, but PJ has yet to stop. The next Spec 2 driver is Jay Williams Smith. He also needs to stop. And then Paul Jackson behind him. So those are 16th and 17th for those second two. Gowdy just has to cruise this one home to take a whole heap of points in that Spec 2 championship.
I was about to bring me on to my next point as well. If I was Gowdy, I would just aim to finish this race and just pick up the points. Pick up the points for to keep the Spec 2 championship, or stay in contention for the Spec 2 championship, I should say, as a couple of cars in front of him dive into the pits.
Yeah, that's Nunez and Samuel Dick, both pitting. I want to say, were they close to Desai before these stops? Elson, of course, now picks up that lead for drivers who have pitted, but we're not expecting him to be able to run down Gaspers or Juracek. Should cycle back into third unless something dramatic happens to our top two. Samuel Dick returning to the track. Oh, speaking of dramatic stuff, we had two spins happen at the same time in the final chicane. It's Kellen Rhodes and Emil Orza. Ooh, costly for Orza. This is synchronized swimming here.
As I look at the replay right now, and it's probably one of those easy mistakes to make, as it looks like Orza tries to go for a move into the final chicane, but he might have just messed it up. But under braking, it looks all fine. As always, Orza gets unstable over the curb, and as you say, Joe, both of them spin off in synchronization.
Yeah, it was both hitting the curb from what it looked like. And David Gaspers has pit. Our leader is in. The 84 looking for his stall and finds it at the very front. Juracek keeps going. So does Sadro. How long is Gaspers' stop going to be? He hasn't been in the draft at all, but it's still quicker, quite a bit quicker than a number of our drivers. A good 11 seconds. Wonder if all this variation we're seeing is just down to experience. Who knows who can, how close you can cut it.
Yeah, quite possibly, as Gaspers comes out in 10.8 seconds, and that was a quick stop from him. Then, as we know, David Gaspers is quite simply the master in the Spec race of Ford. So when it comes to pit strategy, he's got it pretty much spot on this season so far.
Juracek, who we have on screen, stays out. He's following behind Giulio for Colin, the lapped car, so he's actually going to get a little bit of a tow here. That'll probably help, if anything. Well, and not going to get a tow if Colin stays all the way up and out of the way, but Juracek, 16 minutes left, expecting to see him in, if not this lap, the next one. No, he's going to stay out. He's got enough to go one more.
Yep, Miroslav might have been fuel saving in the slipstream in the early stages of the race, and maybe doing some lifting and coasting as well. So looks like he's got fuel to go for another lap.
Daniel Sadro also stays out. We saw him riding the tow for quite a while. What about our leader in the Spec 2, PJ Gowdy, to the dizzying heights of 4th place in the fields? Going to stay out one more time.
Also, just a random fact about PJ Gowdy as well. He's another fellow Scottish driver in this series, currently living in America. So PJ Gowdy doing it for the Scots.
Ironically, living in New England, though. Now, ooh, did Elson lose a spot to Reese? He did. Ooh. Elson spun out of the final chicane. Let's look at the replay. This is all on his own. So a self-made error.
Yep, it looks like he might have just lost it on the. It might have been the same thing as Orza, and Nunes might have just lost it on the curbs, and too much curb it was.
Saw it on screen. He bounced it. Car just does not seem to like those turtles. That allows Antonio Reese through. Gaspers, of course, naturally is the lead pitter, but that could be a 3rd place gone away from the number 56. Wow, and Juracek has just stayed out another lap. So is Sadro, so I've got my fuel calculations wrong here, apparently. So we watch Reese come up on Nick Carty as well. Carty's yet to stop. Reese has stopped. So he's trying to get through. He doesn't want to be held up, and he is held up big time as Nick Carty, with a brilliant defense down into the final chicane. Here comes Steve Elson. Elson gets his spot back after his mistake, smoothly down to the inside of Heartburn Turn.
That was good opportunistic driving from Elson. He seen an opportunity starting to happen, and they got the run on Reese on the exit of the final chicane. Got the run, and they got by Reese, and he's on the attack and after Carty now.
Yep, and let's see if he handles Carty a little bit differently from Reese. See a few of our back markers also pitting now, Montmorency and whatnot. We're waiting on essentially about 5 or 6 cars to take their pit stops, and then we've got our order pretty well set, other than overtakes, naturally. Miroslav Juracek, our leader. Wow. How much fuel did he save? We're almost down to 10 minutes left here.
I'm very surprised at how much fuel that Juracek's managed to save as well, and also Daniel Sadro been second as well. So these guys have managed to stretch out, not by 1 lap, but they possibly an extra 2 laps.
PJ Gowdy is in, so he's found the end of that tank. That'll sort out our Spec 2 race for a little while. See Nick Carty continuing on. We're also waiting on Jason Perry to pit, who actually does so right now. The 97 looking for his stall. Jason weaving his way in, and service starts. So Jay William Smith, Paul Jackson, Paolo Bream yet to pit, Nick Carty, Daniel Sadro, and Miroslav Juracek. Cantor finishing up his stop and is ready to go. We've already got Cardi in. No, we're right in on board with Cardi. It looks like Juracek pits, though. All right. This should hand the lead back to Gaspers pretty easily. Sadro stays out one more time.
I thought Eurosec saved loads of fuel, but I'm surprised that Daniel Sadro's managed to stretch the fuel out, or stretch it out by another like 2 or 3 extra laps. I'm amazed.
Juracek hits his stall, gets his work done. Where is he going to come out, though? He was fighting with Elson for a bit, but Elson's had a lot of problems. He's had some battles happening out on track, and indeed, he's going to be well back from the 84. We're waiting for the timing and scoring to sort itself out to really get a picture of what the distance is between them. I believe it's about 8 seconds or so here. 8.5 seconds from third to fourth. Maybe Sadro just wants to savor the feeling of leading. He's so often having to sit behind David Gaspers. Doesn't always get to relish that P1. So the number 51 on to NASCAR 3 and 4. Is he still got fuel left in that car? Does he have a very light right foot? Nope. He's found the end of it. In he goes down to the pit lane. Other than he, Nick Carty, and Paul Jackson, everybody else has taken pit stops. Gaspers on through, re-inherits the lead now. Number 1 car takes P1 back. Sadro gets his stall just as Juracek is coming around. Is this going to be close between them? Juracek coming through Heartburn turn. Sadro coming out of the corner now. Momentum a little bit in favor of Miroslav. They're going to be side by side as they come out, and he just edges ahead. Sadro nearly got him.
That was so close. I was keeping an eye on Juracek to see where he would be, and he just manages to pip Sadro on the exit of turn 1, and Sadro's right behind him now. So it looks like we're going to be in for how much time we've got left? Just under 10 minutes remaining, or 10 minutes remaining, I think. So battle on for second place.
Oh, who was that spinning that we saw on the other side of the wall? That was Paul Jackson? No, Paul Jackson's in the pits. Nick Carty? No. I'm trying to find him. Well, I guess we won't know. It was a white car, and they had spun on the other side, so someone obviously not enjoying Heartburn turn. This battle, meanwhile, on screen between Juracek and Sadro. Does Sadro try to immediately self-get him in front, or does he play sneaky here, Ryan?
It's a difficult thing to do. If I was Sadro, I'd maybe wait another 3 laps. Maybe wait until the last lap or the penultimate lap and try and make it. Oh, someone's off in the final chicane.
That was trying to get to them. That's Matt Solbloom. So Matt gets it going once again. He's riding in 35th. Don't need a replay of that. He just spun on his own. All of our drivers have now completed their stops. The main battles up at the top is here for second place between Juracek and Sadro. Hugh Haycox and Michael Dobeck are trying to sort out 6th and 7th. And it looks like 8th, 9th, and 10th is up in the air because Nunez, Samuel Dick, and Fred Desai. And Chris Murakami. So 4 drivers all together there.
Fantastic battle to watch with Haycox, Dobeck, Nunez, Dick, Desai, and Murakami. So these guys are battling over P6 at the moment, and driver of the race for me so far, if I was having a vote, would be, as much as people would like to say David Gaspers, I would have to be different and say maybe Michael Dobeck. This is the best race he's had this season so far.
Yeah, Dobeck starting from 10th, currently in 7th, looking at a potential 6th, depending on if he wants to challenge Hugh Haycox here. Let's stay with this, but an update, PJ Gowdy, who is in the 777 and leading the Spec 2, is down in 15th, as that's a big lift from Haycox. No fight from him, and Dobek probably enjoyed that. Whoa, Nick Carty had another incident. Looks like he spun it out of turn 4, I believe. This is going to give quite a show to Michael Shaw. He's the purple, green, and black car that's behind him. Here's the TV view here of number 27 just starting to lose the rear end, and around she goes. There goes Shaw.
Yep, the Nick Carty just it's an easy thing to do with the Spec Racer Ford because of the lift-off oversteer. It's easy to lose the rear end.
Gaspers is in the pits. Sorry, Gaspers is in pit lane.
Oh, he's got damage.
It was his own mistake. This is something we almost never see from him. He spins the car coming through. Oh no, he got damage from another incident before that even. Heartburn turn. He found, that was J. William Smith parked across the track as he was trying to overtake the lapped car of Cantor, so he had nowhere to go. Oh my goodness.
I don't want to. Yeah, but it's just like waiting for a replay to see what happened to Smith. That's absolutely heartbreaking for Gaspers, Joe. But I don't like to say it. We could potentially be in for a winner this season for the first time.
So what you're saying is you hate to see it.
I'm saying nothing.
Well, Gaspers, yeah, he's retired, so this is going to be the first race in a season and a half that he hasn't won, that he showed up to. Sadly for Daniel Sadro, he might not win this one. The pressure is definitely on for him to challenge Miroslav Juracek. You can see our 2 leaders now, nose to tail, with 5 minutes left to go.
Yep, if I was Daniel Sadro, I would definitely be waiting until maybe 2 laps to go or the last lap and try and make a move. Oh, as Miroslav gets sideways as the head onto the banking, but yeah, that was absolutely heartbreaking for Gaspers. But what we have got now, Joe, is an absolutely fantastic battle for the win, going right down to the wire.
This is all ahead of Steven Elson by about 11 seconds. If Elson hadn't had his spin, he probably would have been in this too. Down through the backstretch chicane and out the other side. They're going to come upon some lap traffic. Dominique Bureau, Jim McGill, Pascal Montmorency all directly in front of them.
These guys. Sorry, Joe.
Sorry, Elson had a spin, and Antonio Reese now takes 3rd place away.
This is. As we got a replay of the Steven Elson spin, they're looking to see what happened.
In the backstretch chicane, he's all by himself. Didn't look like he hit the curbs that hard, but kind of hard to tell. Regardless, the result is that he slipped downwards.
As I'm still looking at the battle at the front, and Miroslav and Daniel Sadro are still close together, and yeah. I'm quite surprised to see Antonio Rees up in the podium position at the moment, but it's good to see he's improving a lot this season. But I can't take my eyes off this battle because for the first time this season we're going to have a different winner, and I have to say, I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. Sadro is starting to gain, though. Is this where he makes his move? He's going to look to the outside. Juracek defends as they come down into the backstretch chicane. Too wide into here. Isn't going to work. Sadro knows it. He backs out, but that was a lot of curb there from Juracek. Going to be 2 to go at the line. Clearly, the draft is enough to get him side by side from as far back as he was, but he wants to be fully passed. So they come and take the 2 to go now.
2 laps to go, and these guys are still close together. But in front of them, they've got a back marker. They've got 3 back markers in front of them. And if I'm Eurosec, I have to be very careful, but you can't afford to back off too easy as they go by one of the back markers. And next up in front of them is Dominic Bureau and Pascal Montmorenzi.
Yep, that was McGill that they passed. Montmorency is going to stay out of the way, kind of, yes. Whew, that was tight, but he timed it just right. And then finally, Dominic Bureau up in front of them, the last of the 3.
So we've got a battle back further in the pack with Stevie Ray, Jeremy Akarivi, and what looks like PJ Gowdy as well. So 3-car battle for P9, and leading that pack at the moment is Stevie Ray.
We got to go back to the lead because it's side by side again onto the backstretch. We should stay to this all the way to the end here at this point because white flag is going to be coming out. Oh, Juracek did go pretty far below the line there. I don't know if he was all 4 as they go by Bureau. I'm going to have to go back and look at that later when I have the time and opportunity. They did say they don't want you going all 4 below those blue lines.
I'm just having a quick look now, Joe, just to see what happened if they did go across the. Miroslav did go all 4 wheels off the track on the apron there on the exit of the chicane. So, bit naughty from Miroslav.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to handle that. Meanwhile, white flag has now been flown as we ride on board with Miroslav. Sadro following closely behind. He knows he just needs to get himself a good launch and keep this slipstream. There's a car low below them. Oh, he's going to take a look here in the infield, takes a peek, and then comes back to the racing line, getting into the head of Miroslav Juracek. Out of turn 6, through the banking of 7, over the crest, and now they head back onto NASCAR 1 and 2. He's very close this time as they pick up speed, 90 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour around the banking. He's getting closer. He's going to look to the high side as Miroslav is going to force him the long way around. Last 2 times he's backed out of it on this attempt. This time he is not. He's sticking with it, and he's got a nose ahead. Oh, but they come together, and Miroslav gets turned. He's going to pull over to the side. Oh, and Miroslav gets hit. Where is Antonio Reese? He's a long ways back. Sadro's trying to wait for Juracek, but Juracek is limping. Reese is starting to catch up to them quickly. Sadro slow up on the high side. Miroslav trying to catch up to him. I think Sadro's trying to do the gentlemanly thing and give the spot back.
Miroslav's coming.
Sadro's out of the chicane. He's pulling off to the side. He's going to let him have it. He's giving the win to Miroslav Juracek. And Antonio Reese, did he cross the line before Sadro? No, he did not. But our top 3 with that finish had 7 tenths between them. Incredible. PJ Gowdy, who's managed to crack into the top 10 and is leading our Spec 2, is holding back Stevie Ray now. They were battling with Jerry Macaribi, who's actually left them in the dust at this point. They come around to the front stretch, and I think PJ Gowdy's got this one over Stevie Ray.
Yep, Gowdy across the line in P10 for the top 10 and takes the Spec 2 Class 1.
Perry just barely going to get ahead of Orza as Orza stretches to the line, but it's not meant to be. Cantor looks like one of our last battles on the lead lap here with Nick Carty to settle 17th. Carty's got a run, but he's looking to what's the outside of the banking, inside of the first apex here in the chicane. He gets the door shut on him. Cantor's going to stay in 17th. We're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. The road course gave us yet more action. What a finish. Miroslav Juracek with the win, 0.3 over Daniel Sadro, but Sadro elected to give the position back to him after they came to blows through the backstretch chicane. Antonio Rees was right behind them. If Sadro had waited any longer, he would have lost that second. Rees with third, and Steve Elson with a bit of a distant fourth, unfortunately, with a couple mistakes. Michael Dobek took P5, climbing from 10th, and Kurt Nunez up to 6th from 11th. Both of them gained about the same amount of positions. Then Fred Desai from 15th to 7th there for him. Chris Murakami with a P8 today. Jerry McAreevy 17th and 9th, much better in the race in his qualifying. And PJ Gowdy wins the Spec 2 race with a top 10 today.
Stevie Ray finishes in 11th, I should say, after starting 24th. Samuel Dick finishes in 12th. Jason Perry finishes in 13th. 14th was Emil Orza. Michael Shaw finishes in 15th. Jeff Jacobson gets a great result, finishing in 16th. 17th was Jeff Cantor. 18th was Nick Carty. Dominic Bureau managed to come back and finish in 19th. And rounding out the top 20 and 20th places, Paul Jackson.
21st went to Tom Gradwell, with 22nd being Hugh Haycox, and the last driver on the lead lap was Jim McKill, who actually got it back on that last lap with all the mayhem happening with the leaders. Everybody else was a lap down or more. So drivers from there on down had relatively bad days. Antonio Rees, though, with a third place, nearly saw himself get a win here. Antonio, you fell back and out of the draft early on, and then suddenly that last lap happened. Tell us what's going through your mind as you start to look at your F3 box and see what's happening.
Good night, everyone. Congratulations to Daniel, first of all, and Jaroslav. I didn't get quite your question. Sorry about that. I was a little confused here with YouTube, checking things, and I couldn't get your question.
It's okay. Antonio, you were hanging out around, third or fourth place for much of the race. And then during the last lap, suddenly you find yourself quickly approaching the leaders. What was going through your mind?
Oh, yeah. I was really wondering if I was doing some mistake due to that happiness. So I was trying to keep calm and keep the car on the track. Yeah.
Well, last time the Weekend Warriors raced here, of course, they had the older chicane, which was very, very tricky and dangerous. Do you like this new chicane? Is this more fun to run around here in the new layout?
Yes, sure. I think it's much better, and it's more, how can I say? It's more reasonable.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Yeah,
you
have to lose speed there and have to go slow there. So you can avoid a lot of, heavy crash. You can crash, but it's not as heavy as before.
So next week we go to Sonoma, very, very technical track. Do you consider that one of your stronger ones?
Well, I have no track, so I will skip that one. Sorry about that. It's my sadness. Yeah.
Yeah, sad for us too. We like seeing you challenge these top runners. Again, congratulations. Would you like
thank
to
you
thank
very
anybody?
much. Have a good day, sirs.
All right. That was Antonio Rees, third place finisher from 7th on the grid. And that is going to wrap up our interviews for today. So a big thank you goes to our sponsors, Sim Stickers. Again, check them out at simstickers.co.uk and use the promo code once again of GSRC10 for 10% off. Also, thanks to iRacing for putting us on IESN. Make sure and subscribe. The big red button that says subscribe very easily is spotted. That if you click that, you will get all the action here on IESN. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts. This is here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Ryan, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Our social media is Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram, GSRC_Graham. We mentioned it before. The next race is going to be at Sonoma. That'll be Sunday, January 26th at 2:45 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.